1 year later, we stand, we reflect, we remember. 1 year later, we hope, but we continue to heal. It was the deadliest mass shooting in Buffalo's history. 10 people killed at Tops Supermarket.
10 people died, 3 more were injured seriously, and thousands left scarred in ways we may or may not see. Over the next half hour, we're going to focus on hope and healing.
The Tops mass shooting in Buffalo, New York.
Roberta Drury.
She was a beautiful girl.
Hayward Patterson.
He will grow up fatherless.
Zaire Goodman.
My son, who loves everybody, he just loves people. He was at work minding his business.
Pearl Young.
And then for this person, to come in and just invade a community and just very personally snatch her life away when she would have given to him.
Ruth Whitfield.
Well, I don't give a damn about people's feelings anymore because you need to be uncomfortable. Because I've been uncomfortable my whole life. My whole life I've been treated differently because of the color of my skin.
Celestine Cheney.
We will never have another birthday, another get-together, another celebration, me and her shopping, another call.
Aaron Salter Jr.
I know how he loved others, how he loved his family.
Jennifer Warrington.
I roared in pain for my sister, my beautiful sister, pharmacist who was serving in the East Side. I never knew if I would see her again.
Christopher Braden.
The scars are a constant reminder of what happened to me, but don't define my future.
Andre McNeil.
My father, Andre McNeil Sr., his name will live on until the day I die.
Marcus Morrison.
Somebody actually took their life because of the color of his skin.
Catherine Massey.
We love each other, we stick together, we're there for each other. It's just different because Ken ain't there.
Geraldine Talley.
What'd make me happy is if America acknowledges its racist history and the racism currently going on now.
10 lives taken, 3 people seriously hurt, all of gunshot wounds, but not all of the 514 victims have physical scars.
For 2 women who actually worked in the store, they were in the store when this happened, their scars are forever etched in their minds. And our Channel 2's Heather Lee had a chance to speak with them about memories that they will never forget.
We are honestly broken people at the moment. We're still broken. I'm okay with admitting that because that was a hard thing for me to accept. Broken. But I'm not dead. I survived. So there's something that I'm supposed to do.
How have you found healing over the past year?
Many different ways. So I'm in therapy. That's a start. I'm a musical artist. I write songs, poems. I'm a mom. Just spending time with my kids, knowing that they almost didn't have a mother. That helps to see them. We had a little separation anxiety going on, so just working with them on that, listening to them. I'm a helper, I'm a giver, so helping other people with whatever they're going through helps me. Talking about it, doing this, and just trying to find some way to acknowledge that I'm not the same person.
Which that has to be difficult.
That was the hardest part. That was the hardest part. So I still don't know who I am exactly anymore, but. Yeah.
It's still hard to believe it's been a year. It's still hard to process that. You know, I just had counseling today and we were talking about it, and I hate the word anniversary because it's not an anniversary. Anniversaries are something that's happy, something that was happy in your life. This isn't an anniversary, this is a remembrance. This is a time for us to reflect on the 10 beautiful lives that we lost. It's a time to reflect on those that were injured. This is something we have to learn how to live with and learn how to have our new normal.
How do you navigate that new normal, and what helps you heal today?
Thanking God that we didn't lose more people. Thanking God that I was spared. I could have easily have been shot. Knowing that I have the love and support of my family and my friends and my family down at Jefferson.
Prominent leaders stepped up to the plate immediately after the shooting, just looking for ways that they could help those impacted.
And 1 year later, there is the May 14th Memorial Commission. Our Mary Alice Demler sat down with the chair, Reverend Mark Blue.
We look at areas of where do we start. First of all, we can't give you a particular place where the monument's going to be because we're still working on the monument. Or how big will the monument be? Will it be enclosed? Those are key questions that we have to figure out. And that will, again, be with community support. Nothing will be done void of the community. We all need to heal from this. It's not just the Jefferson community, the East Buffalo community. This has ravaged our entire city.
You have the gamut, right, of people who have trauma, and a lot of it obviously having to do with May 14th, but then there's also a generational aspect of disparities that have always existed in East Buffalo, and you can't really ignore that, can you, when you're putting this memorial together?
This has to be a living monument, something that people will not only look at and reflect, but also look at and see what we can do next to overcome the trauma. It has to be areas of reflection. It has to be areas of what we're going to do. It has to be areas of people coming together and having those moments in which they can, if they have to cry, cry. This is the time to do it. We have to get this out. We have to be able to heal. And I do know that healing, it's not going to happen in a day, a month, a year. It's going to be, healing's going to come for a long time.
What is your best hope for East Buffalo, big picture, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line? What do you want to see?
I want to see businesses. I want to see grocery stores. I want to see another Apollo Theater where we can come down and just have celebrations. We do have dancing in the street once a year. We have block parties, but I want to see the thriving of Jefferson to where it once was. We need more opportunities. That's the most important word. More opportunities to survive and thrive.
And from the football field to here on Jefferson Avenue, we saw a lot of prominent sports figures step up to the plate in the wake of the top shooting.
Bills Hall of Famer Thurman Thomas wants to sustain the East Side, make it better. He spoke with Adam Benini.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm a little emotional right now.
From the hours and days after the horror of 514 to now, Thurman and Patty Thomas say many of the emotions remain the same.
You know, I'm sad still, but I'm still angry.
Anger that the Bills Hall of Famer says he tries to channel positively as he and his wife try to lead a movement of sustainable and lasting change.
You say sustainable, I say yeah, sustainable, but also really wide and broad. It can't just be one part of the community wanting better.
Both say they've tried to lead in this way. Moving to the city of Buffalo is part of it. Both point to the rebuilt Tops Market and improved housing, but both say much more needs to be done. better transportation, easier access to medical and other resources, and above all else, communication.
You don't even realize all of the commonalities and the things that you agree on because people just don't communicate. They don't have conversations with each other and get on a level playing field for change.
I want to see people from Orchard Park. I want to see people from East Aurora, from Williamsville, Amherst. I want to see those people out there because you know what? When something happens in East Aurora, Orchard Park, I'm out there.
But saying that, both community, we need to start coming together for things.
I'm just as passionate about this right here as I was playing for 13 years, for 12 years here. People look at me like, hey, how you doing? Thanks for doing so much in the community. And I'm like, you're welcome, but I'm not done yet. So that's part of my healing, and I think that part really gives me hope that this can turn around.
A Buffalo nurse has made it her mission to help others, and recently she's opened her heart to help TOPS associates.
And 2 on Your Side's Kelly Dudzik now introduces us to the woman who's become an honorary TOPS worker.
Nursing is the only field where you can genuinely show you care for somebody, and they don't think you want nothing in return, and I don't.
Trinetta Alston plays many roles at the Community Health Center of Buffalo, but her involvement with helping TOPS associates heal began the Monday after the shooting.
It started out, just listening to the TOPS associates that came in to speak to us. And after that, it's like, I'm wondering, like, as a nurse, nobody's hurt. I didn't understand why I was there, right? And it just evolved from there.
Trinetta now goes to TOPS 2 to 3 times a week to check on everyone.
Things that they saw, they can't unsee, so this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be here with them, walking them through whatever it is they need to be walked through.
What does it mean to you to have somebody like Trinetta in your life?
It mean a lot. She definitely was there for me when all this happened at TOPS. And for my kids too.
A lifesaver, truly a lifesaver. Got myself in a financial bind, and Trinetta came to me quietly, very quietly. Now I'm telling the world, but she came to me very quietly and asked if she could be of any help to me. And I was a little hesitant at first, but I was desperate. And about a week later, what her and I had discussed came to fruition, and it helped me out of a financial crisis that I was in.
For Trinetta, she's made it her life's work to serve our community.
I just want to be able to, at the end of the day, when I close my eyes, to be able to say, job well done. That's all I want. And I get to do that here.
For John Persons, you don't learn how to respond to a mass shooting in business school. And so when this happened, he had to be on the ground. He left his son's graduation so that he could get here.
And a year later, he sat down with 2 on Your Side, Scott Levin, to talk about the response to the tragedy, but also TOPS plans to honor the victims.
Even a year later, it's difficult for me to continue to talk about it, but I know that I have to, because we're all together on this healing journey, the whole community. We knew right away that we had to center on our associates, understand exactly what was happening with all of our associates, give them the care, the love, and the support that they needed, and then shift the focus to supporting the community. How do we reach out to the community?
That was on top of your mind to make sure that they didn't have a food desert there, correct?
That's very critical. Immediately we helped with food distributions, emergency food distributions. So for the 2 months that the store was closed, we had distribution points that we were providing basic needs and fresh food. And we also heard pretty quick that there were many people asking when will we reopen or what our plans are. And we know we could remodel the store in a pretty short period of time, and we put all of our energies into that, knowing that the community needed a grocery store, needed access to fresh food and groceries. We certainly know that it's emotional. That's an emotional topic, or was at the time certainly with some people in the neighborhood.
Tell me about the memorial. That's you guys were also very sensitive about putting in a memorial to the victims at the store.
During a meeting, someone had brought up the idea of a water wall, and the rest of the group at the time said, that's a wonderful idea, so that's exactly what we did. The water wall is up, and it's still there, and we are now focusing on our attention on a remembrance area, an honor area on our property in the front of our store on the corner of Jefferson and Landon. We'll begin construction this summer, and it should be ready by the end of the year. We know at TOPS, and I certainly know for myself, that part of our obligation is to help that healing process, to help the community move on. And it's important that we respond to the community, to the victims, to the families of the victims, and to help the community heal.
When that horrific crime happened, people in this neighborhood exercised patience and faith.
We sat down with 3 local pastors and had a really candid conversation.
What are your hopes, and how do we continue to heal? Because it's not overnight.
I think part of the healing is in the remembrance. I think back to the Holocaust and how the Jews have never stopped remembering, and not just stopped remembering, but have put action into how do we change things.
Our hope is grounded in our faith, but I think our hope is also in each other. I think one of the great stories that came out of 514 was the resilience of the community.
What if we learned a year later
that this community is stronger than what many people thought? Their voices were and are very, very loud and being paid attention to across this country. And I think another thing, although Buffalo is highly segregated still to this day, is that we learned how much better we are together.
All 3 of us are rooted in our unapologetic love for our people.
That's a fact.
And that, all of us, while we are champion diversity and people from all ethnicities and backgrounds coming together as one, but we do so with an unapologetic love for Black people.
I don't want to say it in the wrong way, but it shouldn't have taken...
Just say it the way you say it.
I've learned, to see hypocrisy at a higher level than I've ever saw it in my life. It shouldn't take 10, Black people to get killed.
We're going to go from that hypocritical, that H, to that hope, the hurt.
The hurt, the hate, the anger.
But we do need hope. Oh my God,
I believe we have hope, and hope is what we're doing right now.
Absolutely.
Hope is, you taking, the initiative, Claudine, to actually, talk about it.
What needs to happen to make sure that hope doesn't turn into frustration and people don't get impatient? Because you drive down Jefferson Avenue and a lot of people might look around and say, nothing's changed.
A lot of times, people ask, hey, how can we turn it around? How can we change it? What is needed over there? And then when we're honest about what's really needed, then they make you beg.
That tragic event made us realize as Black people the importance of caring for one another.
As pastors, do you still have sleepless nights over this?
I haven't taken care of me yet.
For me, it's not so many, sleepless nights. It's a lot of days of unsurety. Where do we go next?
I have disappointment, and I think I'm just going to express that. Because when we talked about the races and everybody coming together, the ecumenical services I've had with so many people who didn't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about other pastors who pastor people that look like me. And not one phone call, not one show up at anything, like they had to protect their whiteness.
Yes.
And I'm just going to say it. I have to say it, because it's the one thing that bothered me so much. There were so many people who came, But I want to assure you there were so many people who didn't come and who didn't acknowledge a white supremacist in their pulpits, ever. So my sleepless nights are really because I didn't know so many people around me and in neighboring communities just didn't give a damn.
We can't have healing unless we have those conversations.
Real conversations.
And I'm tired of folks projecting on us what we need in order to heal.
The mass shooting not only impacted the 13 victims, it really impacted the whole Jefferson Avenue community.
It really showed up the disparities that are actually happening in this neighborhood. Our Kaylin Berrien spoke with neighbors.
Like, I live 4 blocks away, so, this was our Tops. This is where everybody's grandmother was. But it was, it was a black-oriented Tops. They had food for us, they had things that we would specifically like.
But on May 14th, 2022, it all changed.
An unsettled feeling, that's what it is. Like, everybody's still unsettled a little bit. I can't really say that we're happy, and we're definitely not the same as we were a year ago.
Now, twice a month, Lewis helps top survivors. Many of them, he says, still cannot leave their home. So he helps with that by listening.
Like the city really hasn't listened to the victims. I got a victim that the gunman, he put the gun up to her head and legit burned a hole in her head, and she hasn't seen any money. She hasn't received any help. So I feel like if the city really wanted to make a change or do something, they still need to hear the victims. There's still people that are suffering from this. Some people say that the Tops needs to be here, and a lot of people still don't even feel like it's a comfortable place. Some people feel like it's a target.
But a lot of people depend on this grocery store, so much so they see it as a glue for the community. It's the same way Daniel Love feels since opening his barbershop 5 years ago.
When they built that Tops, even when they built this building, where I'm at, this all set up to fail. All this was set up to fail. It's just something to put in our community. But it worked. This worked. It gave people a sense to come out into the community and say, we're going to come over here and we're going to shop.
Do you think that the community can ever get back to normalcy?
Yeah, I definitely do.
Sustained support is something this community depends on in different ways.
And that hinges on the adults of tomorrow. That's why a local educator put together this book to accomplish exactly that. When tragedy struck, Dr. Sylvia Lloyd did what she does best. She turned to the pen.
514 caused me to go inward and to reflect, to conduct research, and to write.
To write about everything from pain to frustration, hate to healing. But she was also writing with a purpose.
I'm an educator, so it actually caused me to write a social justice curriculum for the next generation. Because I wondered, how can we stop this copycat syndrome?
She's from Buffalo, not far from the Jefferson Avenue Tops. She knew she needed to do something to help her community and communities like it across the country.
We want our children to heal from this because we don't want them to continue to hurt. Hurt people, but heal people.
Sylvia became the first black supervisor of libraries for the Buffalo Public Schools in 2005. 2 years later, the first black director of the school library system in Rochester. She now writes, lectures, and develops curricula for marginalized communities. And as this third-generation educator walks with me near Johnny B. Wiley Stadium, where so much help was handed out in the days and weeks following 514, she's reminded of her grandmother, a pillar of the Fruit Belt, whose activism helped break down racial barriers in the Buffalo Public Schools in the 1960s.
The community felt it was not heard, it was not seen, it was not valued, and things were very different. There was the civil rights movement was going on, and there was actually protests and boycotts in the schools. So my grandmother, Mrs. Elizabeth Burgos, actually partook in a boycott where teachers were hitting students. It was legal. Corporal punishment was legal, and the parents wanted to change that to make schools better for children. So she was a school counselor in the schools, and she encouraged me to go into education. So I feel like I need to give back to the community.
And carry on her legacy.
Yes, absolutely.
A legacy of education and activism. How much does it mean for you personally to be able to take a tragedy and turn it into a teaching moment?
That's everything. That is the ultimate goal.
and it's a goal that can benefit everybody.
How can they make Buffalo a better place? How can they make their community a better place, and ultimately this country a better place?
The shooting shed light on decades of racial disparity in the city of Buffalo and also highlighted the need to address things like racism, hate, and the impact of social media.
I had a chance to speak with New York State Attorney General Letitia James. And how hopeful are you, and how is your healing?
You know, I lean upon my faith always, particularly when it comes to the loss of 10 innocent lives. And so as an elected official, we've got to do all that we can to provide hope and inspiration. But more than that, we've got to use the powers of our respective offices to effect change and to pass reasonable and responsible gun laws.
You can't get away from just two words, white supremacy. This was targeted. So how do you, in your position, how do you help this state?
That individual was radicalized on social media, and it's important that we hold these online platforms responsible for their content. We are at a time in this country where we are more divided than ever, a country at war with itself. And what we need to do is bring people together, and government needs to respond.
When it comes to this hope and healing, what's your message to the families, to Black people in Buffalo, to white people in Buffalo? That pain is still there. That pain is still raw. And if you were targeted, you still feel it.
Oh, of course. You know, you still feel the pain, and you are still distraught. It's critically important that we all come together and that we all recognize that there really is not much of a difference between myself and my white counterpart. That all of us must stand together, arm in arm, shoulder to shoulder, to prevent mass shootings from happening again, and to stand up against individuals who hate people because they're different.
Can we expect to see more from your office when it comes to going after these social media groups and online sites that are spewing hate, or allowing it to just continue so that people become radicalized?
We've been focusing on greater restrictions on live streaming, increased transparency, the moderation of online platforms, again, focusing on content, focusing on algorithms. Let us all pray for peace. Let us all pray that we will all stand together. And then on the 14th, let us remember those 10 innocent souls and pray for their families.
In the days following the Tops mass shooting, Mark Talley turned his grief into anger and activism.
His mother, Geraldine Talley, was one of the victims of the Tops shooting. Now, 2 on Your Side's Rob Hackford shows us how he's now turning that grief into gratitude and really pushing hard to make changes in honor of his mother.
Back as well? Yes, sir.
It's hard to imagine Mark Talley ever wanted to give back after having so much taken from him.
It was hard to handle. You know, I was ready to punch everything, break everything.
But as so many are still seeking clarity after this tragedy,
They want you to grieve how they perceive that you should grieve.
Talley has found his own path.
I'm trying to use this anger to hopefully do something good and to just fuel this anger into a passion to help the community and anybody who wants it.
That passion was turned into purpose when he founded Agents for Advocacy, a nonprofit focused on this mantra: as long as poverty, injustice, and inequality persist, none of us can truly rest.
We want to be one of the largest socioeconomic justice nonprofits here in the city, if not the state.
It's taken off quicker than he expected. Agents has hosted financial literacy classes and giveaways to uplift East Buffalo and tamp out the hatred that took his mother. Talley said she'd be surprised he's leading the way, but absolutely proud.
You know, sometimes I feel like it's I have imposter syndrome, but at the other times, you know, I feel inspired by people coming up to me, telling me that I inspired them. You know, I just try to use everything that I've gone through and how I dealt with it to provide for them.
A group born in anger, on a mission of love.
Keep continuing down the path that I'm here for.
But unlike me, when you become an agent, hopefully, it happens out of the goodness of your heart and not the hatred like mine. Thank you.
When there's loss, there's always something special. Mementos. Look at some of them. Precious mementos. Deacon Hayward Patterson's suit Aaron Salter Jr.'s car, and Ruth Whitfield.
We were supposed to go see the Temptations play that night. And I have the tickets.
The ticket. Never used for the Buffalo performance at Shays, but the family was invited to see it in Detroit, and there was a special dedication to Ruth. Her daughters hope for a better tomorrow.
And we're not going back. We are not going back.
What would your mother be telling you right now about having hope and trying to heal?
Well, she believed in God. Right. And so she, first off, she'd say, pray about it. But she was also an activist before her time.
At St. Brian Clothiers.
This is a place where the legacy of a man's character and his clothes lives forever.
Patterson's suit.
Almost every photo that you see of him, he's in the three-piece. This shoe hasn't even been worn, right? And this is what breaks your heart the most.
Patterson was a dad.
This is his youngest son. This is his only son who would carry on his name.
His suit, cufflinks, will remain on display.
A memento to a man who left a legacy. The suit is, we're all in pursuit of something, right? And, and so we want to be in pursuit of healing.
And retired Lieutenant Aaron Salter Jr. He died while saving others.
I was always able to tell him how much I loved and appreciated him and how proud I was of him.
His sister keeps her last text message from him dated May 10th. It was about her late husband.
I heard his voice and saw his face clear as day. Wow, have a good day at work. I miss the little things.
Even stopping at Tops to chit-chat with her brother. She recently traveled to Israel. It's part of her healing from losing her only sibling.
I would always keep in constant contact with him. I would always send him pictures.
This photo of her getting baptized in the Jordan River, emotional for her knowing that this photo he won't see. A brother and sister with deep roots to Tops Supermarket. Their mother worked at Tops in the Central Park Plaza.
I was the cashier. Aaron worked in stock.
And in retirement, he returned.
And he had a passion for that particular Tops on Jefferson. He was always concerned about the people that lived there, the people that shopped there.
But photos are special, like all those of him in classic cars that he loved. Thank you for joining us for this 2 in Your Size special as Buffalo remembers. We continue to hope and we continue to heal.
And we continue to celebrate the resilience of East Buffalo.
Perhaps the most untold story of all time is resilience on Buffalo's east side. How do they do it, they wonder, when city planners' abandonment and disinvestment programs prove to be nothing but a cunning ploy. Businesses strategically redirected to more affluent neighborhoods, enacting white flight all because we were misunderstood. But we just continue doing our thing, minding our business up in Cold Spring. Just a beautiful display of humanity, because 9 times out of 10, they knew your whole family. Yet every weekday, bright and early, the white faces would drive into our community and look down on us like we were their enemy.